An absolutely beautiful morning. It is crisp, it is clean. The snow and the rain has really kind of refreshed everything, and it's just absolutely wonderful. It's amazing how God can bring that about and how He can do that. This morning in our devotional, there's a subject matter that I don't think we talk about that much, and the devotionalist just puts it right out there, and he's talking about evil in the land. Now, the scripture is Leviticus 27. It says, "Sanctify yourself, therefore, be holy, for I am the Lord your God." And so, God is wanting us to be separate, to be pulled away. But pulled away from what? The evil that is in the land. And so the devotionalist begins to talk about the occult and witchcraft in America. Now, this is something that we don't really acknowledge. It's swept under the rug. It's something that we don't talk too much about. In fact, it is very strategic that it is secretive, that it isn't talked about. I was watching the Antique Roadshow, and I don't watch that. And after about the third or fourth thing, there was an individual that brings a book that a relative of his wrote, and it was called the Golden Dawn. And the guy that was estimating what this was worth was so excited to see a copy of this book and to know that this guy was related to this guy. Now, his name was Israel Rigetti, and he worked with Aleister Crowley. And if you know anything about the occult, he's a top dog in all of this. And this book was to reveal all these secrets. In fact, the Hermetic order means the secret order, the things that are not talked about. And he wrote this book to reveal all of these things and also to promote this thing. Now, I think we have this idea in America that this is not a big deal. But the devotionalist says that this is a $2 billion industry. And I know in our area there are psychics, and if you drive by, there's nobody there. But what you'll notice is that they have some very high-dollar cars parked out in front. And so I asked one time, how come they have no business, and yet they drive in these cars? And they said, well, it's all online. And so there's a lot of this happening, and we don't see that it's happening. I was amazed a few years ago when the Harry Potter movies and books came out, how normalized all of this was. And all kinds of people were going to this. There were Christians that were reading all of these books. And I think we think that this sort of thing is somewhat benign. The scriptures are very clear that we need to separate ourselves from this. Could it be that our country is in the condition that it's in because of this? You know, the fourth principle of this Hermetic order is that there is a principle of polarity, and so a yin and a yang, a positive and a negative, and it's this idea that these things coexist. And I think that while it is true that there is a good and an evil, that they shouldn't necessarily coexist. Let me give you a personal illustration here, and I'll kind of close with this. Right now, my dog has a major infection on his lip, and I'm not interested in that infection coexisting with his immune system. I want his immune system to overtake it. And so we have him on some antibiotics right now to fight this infection. Do we realize that our country is infected with evil? Do we realize that our society is infected with evil? Do we realize that the enemy has come in and he has begun to normalize this, and infection has set in? What would you do if infection was truly set in on you, on your dog, on your loved one? Would you not fight it with all that you had? And that's really where we're at. So when you go down in the devotional, and I'll post it down below, and you begin to read out of Deuteronomy and out of Exodus about what God talks about as it relates to this infection, you're going to see that God says you got to cut it out. And this is exactly what we need to do in our world today. We need to sanctify ourselves. We need to be holy, and we need the infection cut out. So, tough devotional this morning, but sometimes we've got to face the tough stuff and do the tough stuff for things to change. So may God bless you. Thank you so much.